Okay, let's call this meeting to order. And the meetings are accessible to people with disabilities, individuals who need special assistance or disability-related modification or accommodation to participate in this meeting, or who have a disability and wish to request an alternative format for the meeting material should contact the clerk of the board at least 2 working days before the meeting. If you wish to have anything distributed to the committee, please email the clerk by 5 p.m. the day prior to the meeting. Can we welcome, thank you for coming, and can we have roll call?
Oh, yes, thank you. Director Tiedemann.
Here.
Hold on one second. Director Harrison.
Here.
Director Hernandez. Director Monroe. And Chair Patino.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, now that we did that, let's now go to public comments. Do we have any public comments, clerk?
Yes, we have one person has raised his hand. I can allow Blair Beekman to speak for 3 minutes.
Okay, Blair Beekman for 3 minutes.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thank you for today's meeting. Sorry, I have not filled out a public comment card. I will for the next items as needed. Thanks for the meeting. Boy, it's nice you guys are back. I missed you. I'm from the Fremont, San Jose area. So I kind of more grew up with San Jose ideas of community energy. And I've been just incredibly impressed with the directness in how East Bay Community Energy tries to work on its issues and really relies on the help of advocacy to offer good direction. And then you work with that good direction. And I thank you for that. And so I'm hopeful what we can be doing this fall. I think you made some interesting adjustments to certain solar and storage issues from this time last year and into this year that are interesting and helpful, and I think help address AB 1139 that was kind of a big headache to a lot of people. That I think your work and your own efforts internally was able to.
Just starting the barbecue.
Sorry about that. Internally was able to. Hey, can someone mute, please?
Yeah, could someone mute who's not speaking? Sorry about that, Mr. Beekman.
That's okay. So to continue, I think your work internally on issues like solar and storage by the year 2023, you adjusted those ideas, and I think that that work ended up being important for what is the future of AB 1139, and that it's no longer so much on the table. And it's good efforts that you guys have done. So thank you for all of that. I'll be looking forward to hearing the legislative report today. And yeah, I'm just really, really hopeful the direction you guys are going. San Jose, they're doing their own interesting work at the state level at this time. But I think they can use your help and guidance what to do at the local level, and how to better ensure the renewable process. I think you can be very good at that and offer some very interesting instructions, because you work in mostly direct terms, and I thank you for that. Anyway, thanks for the meeting today, and I'm glad you're back, and thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for we hear from you almost every meeting, so and it's always nice to hear from you. Next, we have, do we have any other speakers, or is that it? You're on mute. You're on mute, Adrian.
There are no additional comments for public comment at this time.
Okay, so next we'll go to approval of the minutes. Does anybody want to discuss the minutes? Nobody? Okay, could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
Director Tiedemann makes the motion. Director Harrison is seconds. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, thank you. Director Tiedemann,
Yes.
Director Harrison,
Yes.
Director Hernandez, Director Monroe, Chair Patino.
Yes.
The minutes pass.
Okay, next item is our legislative update. It's an informational item, no action needed on this. Can we get, who's going to present that?
I'll be presenting. This is Todd Edmister. I'm Director Regulatory Affairs for EBC. Adrian, can you pull the deck up? Are you driving?
Yes, I am. Hold on 1 second. I'm just pulling it up now.
Alrighty. So we're closing in on the end of the legislative session. The last date for amendments for 2021 was Tuesday. So we're kind of at a stop point here for this calendar year. Next slide, please, Adrian. Thank you. And so today, is there a question? Oh, okay. So today, last day for each house to pass anything. And then we got a month for the governor to act on the bills that make it to his desk. Next slide, please. All right, so you can see here the various positions on the current bills and the descriptions. Is it useful for me to go through this in detail? I'm not sure what level you'd like me to be covering this at.
Let's do a high level, and if anybody has questions, we can drill down later.
Okay.
Well, yeah, let's do that.
So I'll, yeah, just real briefly here. I'm gonna skip forward to 1139 since the speaker mentioned it, and it's the only bill here that we're opposing, but that was a net energy metering bill. Net energy metering is when you've got a customer who's also a generator, and you have to figure out what you're going to pay that customer for their surplus generation, essentially, and what you're going to credit them for their generation that gets offset against what they'd otherwise buy from the grid. And we're currently operating under NEM, Net Energy Metering 2.0. This bill would require the Public Utilities Commission to accelerate their work on NEM 3.0. And so the position here was to oppose. The last action on it was some amendments back in April that added essentially a grandfathering provision to the bill. And that's this last sentence here about requiring any net energy metering customer to be transferred to new tariff 20 years after. The idea there is that once somebody gets a NEM tariff and makes investments premised on it, that they're then locked in. They can't be converted over to whatever the new NEM tariff looks like. So anyway, that's going to get carried over to next year, but the current position on it was to oppose. Let's see, next slide. Actually, sorry, back up for a second. There was one thing I wanted to point out. AB 525, which is the offshore wind bill, that did pass out of the legislature yesterday. So that's an update on that. So offshore wind will be coming to California. Next slide. Okay, still more bills. As you can see, we're supportive of all of this array of bills here. A lot of it kind of deep in the weeds on these various issues. And next slide. Okay, now let me, oh, sorry, Ms. Harrison.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to ask on SB 99, is that the bill where we originally asked that they amend it to have it relate to CCAs being allowed to have community energy resilience plans? And they did not do that. I'm trying to understand whether we are allowed as an agency also to have a community resilience plan that would be supported by this grant.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm filling in for Melissa on this, and I don't have details.
Okay.
I can make a
Okay.
note to follow up on that for you.
I just want to know if we can apply for these funds as well as a joint power. And then I had a question on SB 612.
Yes,
That's now become a 2-year bill.
correct.
Is that right? Okay. And this is really critical to us because we have nuclear attributes as well as large hydro. So this
Well, we're still
really,
going to get that. Sorry.
we
let me-
are. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me finish taking that note and I can drill down a little bit. 612, I'm very familiar with because I do a lot of work on the PCIA. Let me just make a note to ask about this. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So SB 612. Let's go way back into the prehistory of it. Okay. The PCIA is essentially the surcharge that utilities impose on all customers for their uneconomic generation costs. And for CCAs, that's been an existential issue because if that surcharge is not set up correctly, it greatly impacts our ability to be competitive with the IOUs. So we've been squabbling with the IOUs at the PUC for a long time now over how to set that rate. And one of the things that the CCAs had negotiated with the IOUs was to have the various elements of the IOU portfolios allocated out to all load serving entities, including CCAs, which would essentially eliminate much of the rate disparity that we're seeing as a result of the PCIA. And unfortunately, the Public Utilities Commission nixed some elements of that allocation proposal. And so there were three things from the portfolio that were going to get allocated out.
Oh,
There was resource adequacy. There was essentially the RECs, the green attributes from the portfolio, and there was GHG free generation. And so what the commission said was, okay, we're going to allocate out the RPS. We're cool with that portion of the proposal. On GHG free, which is the nuclear that you were referring to a minute ago, we, and by we I actually mean EBCE, had negotiated a deal to have an option on taking a slug of the GHG free from the utilities, the hydro and the nuke. And of course, as you know, the nuke was really controversial. But that's been in place for 2 years now. And the commission said, well, we're not quite sure what we want to do long-term about GHG free, but we will continue that current allocation structure until we figure it out. And so for at least until 2023, the allocation of the GHG free, the hydro and the nuclear will continue. So we're going to keep getting that regardless of what happens with 612 until the commission sorts things out. And then the resource adequacy, that was the most controversial element of what the PUC did. The PUC said, we're not going to allocate resource adequacy, sorry. And that was really the genesis of SB 612, was to essentially compel allocation of RA in addition to RPS and GHG free. It's kind of a long-winded response to your.
no, that's okay. Can I ask a follow-up question about that? So for the nuclear attributes, which I was against us taking, I'll just say,
Yeah.
I want to make sure I understand we're not going to get stuck with these and not get credit for them, because so far we have not been able to sell those to anyone.
Yeah,
No one wants these. I mean, I feel like we kind of did this thinking we get credit, which we now have temporarily through 23, but no one's buying them, as I understand it. Is that correct?
I don't know about the marketability, like if we were able to take and sell. I mean, the structure is it's an option. You can take it or you can decline it. If you take it and you can't sell it on, then you've got that GHG free in your portfolio. Yeah.
Till 2023, but after that we may not.
Well, it's an annual option, right? So if you take it in 2021, then you take it in 2021. You don't have to take it in 2022.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. That's very helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, it's an annual election.
Okay.
So you can take it for 1 year, not take it for the following year. And if you don't take it, then it just reverts back to PG&E. Yeah. So anyway, 612 was about essentially locking in that optionality on the full suite of products from the portfolio, all of the RPS, the RA, and the GHG free, versus what the PUC had agreed to allocate, which right now is just the RPS, and under this interim methodology, the GHG free. Okay, anything more on that?
Any other questions? Okay, Todd, back to you.
Alrighty, next slide. Okay, so draft budget trailer bill. As you can see here, there is a draft bill that was kicking around, but I don't believe it was, yeah. So the kicker here is the second bullet, which is mandated procurement of Eagle Crest. I just got an update from the Cal CCA legislative director that mandated procurement did not make it into the trailer bill. So that's out now as of today, which is probably the big news there. So that's where we're at on that. Next slide. Okay. One more down. Whoop. Is that the end of the deck? That's the end of the deck. Okay, so there we go. So I think that's it for me.
Okay, do we have any other questions of Todd? Okay, so we're going to move on to the marketing and account services update. This is also an informational item. And Annie, will you be doing that? You're on mute.
Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Sorry, I double muted. I'm going to open it up, and then Dan Lieberman is going to do the bulk of the slides, and JP Ross is here to answer any questions specific to programs as well. So the first slide here is, Adrian, if you could pull up the deck. Perfect. Adrian, I'm going to pause because I see there is a comment that says public comment, and I don't know if that's meant to be before the presentation or after.
Yes, we did have a Blair Beekman raise his hand for the prior presentation. Would you like to recognize Blair Beekman now? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going
yes,
to go
let's
ahead and stop
do
sharing.
that. I did not see that. My apologies.
Great, thank you.
Sorry about that, Annie.
Blair Beekman, I'm recognizing you for 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the chat feature so I could help remind yourselves, and thanks for seeing the chat. Boy, for this item, I'm totally inexperienced at this stuff, and I'm really sorry, and I thank you for your patience in hearing my public comment. Hopefully in some way it can be of help to yourselves. To begin, in San Jose, they are trying a very interesting, noble effort to address PCIA issues by, the lobbying in Sacramento at this time for PG&E to bring their overall renewable rates down, which I think is an interesting concept. You can look into that and better understand it, but to pass that along to yourselves, that's what I'm doing here. To speak about the, it's called the GHG free initiative, and it sounds like an interesting deal for yourselves. Every little bit helps, it sounds like, and that's what this project can do. That it sounds like in 2023, it'll be going through some sort of review process that I'm guessing it's what 1139 is doing as well, that I think in 2023, major new initiatives of it may kick in and such. For my own self, in my work here, I've just grown in reading your statistics. It's my personal feeling that there's a possibility there may be a large earthquake in the Bay Area in the year 2023. And that's why we have these issues with 1139 and such. I don't know how accurate my thinking is. You can do with my information as you can. But my thinking is that they're trying to recreate the fossil fuel industry and its economy at this time to prepare for that year, basically, or to just simply build a fossil fuel economy and keep that process alive and going. I think that we can have choices with renewables. If we build renewables now, then if we do have a major natural disaster, we can return more easily and quickly to renewables and our better ideals and our better practices for our future. And we don't have to be stuck in the mire of just a fossil fuel mess, basically. So it's the same with this GHG stuff. By 2023, you're going to review the future of nuclear. I think we should be slowly working to phase out nuclear. and be really strong and focused and concentrated in those efforts. In 2023, if there is natural disaster, there's going to be a big push to reintroduce nuclear, it sounds like. And we just have to keep that steady focus that we're slowly ending nuclear, no matter its new technology and practices. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Do we have any other comments on this item?
There are no further comments for this item.
Okay, well, let's go over to the marketing and account services updates.
Great, thank you. So while Adrian pulls it up, I'll get started. The first slide is really high-level highlights and major activities, but it's been a while since we've all checked in. I'll try and go through these fairly quickly, as I know we have some time limitations today. So we've had a number of customer communications either go out or coming out soon. If we could go back a slide, Adrian. Thank you, perfect. So the joint rate mailer went out both via email and actual paper mail at the end of August. The joint rate mailer is a co-branded piece with PG&E. It's overseen by the Public Advisor's Office, which is part of the Public Utilities Commission. It's very much a template that we can't change too much, but it compares our rates with PG&E rates as well as our power content. The next major compliance mailer to go out is the power content label that will be going out by the end of this month. That is related to the power source disclosure report, which is an item coming up to the full board at our meeting, is that 2 weeks from now? And that compares our power content to the state of California. That is one that is not, there's a small section that is a template, but we can add in a lot more marketing content, and that will go out both by electronic mail as well as direct paper mail for those that we don't have emails for. The last customer communication I wanted to note is that we've been having a lot of great success sharing information through digital newsletters. So whether that is your own local city sustainability newsletter, local chambers of commerce has been helping out. And then also we've been sharing content with a network of community-based organizations that have been sharing information specific, one good example is about various customer repayment programs that are being launched and enrolling customers throughout our service territory. We've, as you may recall, back in spring, we increased our Roots sponsorship. So that's the Oakland Roots Sports Club, our local professional soccer team. We've been attending games. They have been both at Laney College, out at Los Positos College in Livermore, and they had one at Merritt College. And so we've been there in person talking with people. We have our title game coming up a week from this Saturday. And that will be a lot of branding opportunities, but also a call to action to opt up. And we hope that some of our board members and others can attend. We've also been, the Roots gave us an opportunity to do a donation. Basically, they pay for the donation for home games, where every home goal scored by the Roots is a $510 donation. And what we've done is selected a group of community-based organizations that we've had previous relationships with, and that donation goes to them. So the Roots have really built up their team over the season so far, and they just started really getting some more goals on the scoreboard. And so we've been excited to be able to get, I think there's a couple games where there were 3 goals, so $1,500 to groups like the Asian Pacific Environmental Network or Rising Sun Energy Center or the Impact Lab in San Leandro. Some really great support for our local organizations there. And we've also been participating in some community events that they've been hosting. It's been a difficult time for us with doing in-person outreach. We started to ramp up, I'd say, in the July timeframe. And then things took a shift with the Delta variant. And so we are doing in-person events, but it's sort of, we're always checking in to make sure that the proper precautions are in place and that, staff feels comfortable doing that. But there have been some events at Liberation Park in Oakland that we've done with the Roots. We also issued hyperlocal sponsorship, and we awarded those in August. It was, another spectrum of different community-based organizations that we funded, anywhere from youth sports to, I know there is a facility out in Livermore where they do basically tiny houses for people transitioning out of homelessness. So that was a great one to be able to support. There's a lot going on the account services side with the customer payment support. So the AMP outreach is the arrearage management plan. This is the plan that was initially launched to basically begin to forgive debt over the course of a year. Every month that you paid on time, 1/12 of your debt was forgiven. This has been somewhat supplanted by the CAP program, which is the California Arrearage Payment Program. This is looking to assign, I think it's about $1 billion to California utilities for customer arrearage. And so right now where we are with, and that's just full forgiveness, one shot. It won't be able to cover all customers that have arrearage, and it is just for the time period as assigned under that legislation. But it should be a huge help to customers who are carrying debt from the pandemic at a time when they had decrease or loss of income. So right now we are responding, it's an attestation period saying, yes, this is how much is owed to us by our customers. And then those payments should come in the beginning of the next calendar year and be assigned to customer debt. For call center and data management services, this is the Sacramento Municipal Utility District has filled this role for us for the last several years. We did run an RFP and they were selected. We are now in the process of amending the existing contract to reflect some of the updated terms from that RFP process. That will most likely be coming to the full board in October for approval. We have a number of cities that are either due to the sunsetting of Brilliant 100 or because of proactive decision-making are changing their default product. So the first batch is coming up in January. So that'll be Albany, Hayward, Pleasanton, and Dublin residential customers are all moving to a default of Renewable 100. Then we have Berkeley and San Leandro residential customers coming up in March of next year. And so there's a lot of customer outreach. We want to make sure that customers are aware of the change and also aware of the choice they have to either, opt down to Bright Choice and have a discount or to opt out. But we want to make sure that customers realize they have that choice and that they are the product is being changed. So, and a lot of that is for the Brilliant 100 sunset, that is sort of across all jurisdictions. So we are doing outreach to those C&I customers that had voluntarily opted up to Brilliant 100 to make sure that they're aware that that product is going away and they would be defaulted to the Bright Choice product. As I mentioned earlier, we started to gear up for events and it's been sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back as we try to adjust to what's happening in the real world. We did get out and do some farmers markets in Dublin. I think it was, Juan came back with an incredible stat, like 80 interactions. People were really excited. I think people are just excited to talk, to like be out and talk, and engaging with other humans. But we've been doing the Roots games. We have a ribbon cutting at the Scott Haggerty Wind Energy Center coming up in a couple weeks. And that is to sort of acknowledge the operational wind farm in Livermore. And that should be a great event. And then we have the Alameda County Fair, which is still slated to happen in October. And then lastly, just some team changes. So Danny Kelly, who has been with us for 3 years, has taken a role with his family business. And so we are looking to backfill our account services business customer analyst position. And on Monday, we have Lori Dines joining us for the programs marketing manager role. And what Dan is going to present in these next several slides is the work he has been doing to help promote programs. That work is going to shift over to Lori so she can focus on programs marketing, and Dan can focus on our sort of overall brand awareness, marketing, education, and outreach. So with that, I will turn it over to Dan.
One
I did
second,
have
Dan. We have Director Harrison has her hand up.
Yeah, Annie, thank you very much for this report. I just had two questions. One is on the Brilliant 100 Sunset. Can you get us materials as soon as possible to put in our own newsletters? Because I think no matter what you send, people don't read our materials as much as they should. So I'd like to make sure I get that in my newsletter and people understand what their options are. And then on the hyper local sponsorships, how are those selected? We have a tiny homes program supported by Oakland and Berkeley near the Oakland airport. So I'm just curious how the decisions are made about who gets those funds.
Sure. Yeah, we open up an open session. So the next round is already open, and it's a pretty simple, straightforward form. We ask, who are you? How would you use the funds? How much of it's a max of $2,500. And then we as a team, really, it's Dan, his two team members, and myself. We review internally, and sort of based on certain criteria that we have, such as we don't support any political activity, things like this. But then we vet them and select the awardees.
How are people?
And we do that 3 times a year.
Okay. And what's the outreach like for that? How do you reach out to organizations?
So we typically put it in our own newsletter. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, sir. No, I couldn't hear you for a minute. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. We put it in our own newsletter. We put it on social media. Dan, do you want to note where else? I think the CBO newsletter content that we share with our network of CBOs puts that out. I'm looking for
Correct.
Dan if he wants to comment on their channel.
I'm here. Yeah, the main things are we send it to our newsletter. We do social media, typically paid social media to promote it. And we have this extensive email list of over 100 CBOs in our service area. And we send it to all of them as well every time.
Can I get a copy of that list? Because I'm pretty certain the Tiny Homes Project near the Oakland Airport does not know about this.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the challenge is, I'm sure there are, 1,000 CBOs in our service area. We cataloged, I think, maybe 200 in our list. So.
Yeah, and what's the deadline for this round?
We do it for 3 times a year, so every 4 months. And the last one was, I think, ended at the end of July. So that means August, September.
Yeah, so then the next one is November 30th. And I added the link to the chat for everyone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Unmute myself. I had one question. I brought this up a couple months ago, but have you reached out to any of our federally qualified health centers with the information about the programs that EBCE has? Those are our community clinics. I'm on the board of directors of one here in Union City, and it'd be nice to have that information when we're getting people enrolled into Medi-Cal, SNAP, and a lot of these things. It's just another resource that they could sign up for right there with social workers that help them fill out the applications for all the other services.
Certainly, when we did our COVID grants, there were a lot of health services that were part of that list. I don't know if the community clinics that you're referring to, if there's a specific association that we could reach out to, or if it's just a matter of doing research for each of the jurisdictions to identify community clinics. But if you have any resources you can direct us towards so that we can create that list of contacts, we can certainly add them to the CBO newsletter list.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll get the because there's a consortium for Alameda County of health clinics. And so that would
Great.
probably be easier than contacting. I think there's 13 just in the county. So I'll do that just to make it a lot easier. Okay. Let me write that down.
That's
'cause I'll
great. Thank you
forget.
very much. Yep.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay, let's move forward. Dan, is it Dan?
Yeah, thanks. So I'll spend a few minutes going through the evolution of EBCE's marketing. I think we need the next slide here. And so back when EBCE launched our service in the second half of 2018, we focused on brand building. We had, at that time, no local programs, and our primary objective was to prevent opt-outs. And then in 2019, we continued along that path because through survey research, we knew our brand recognition was still pretty low. And we know that if customers know about our brand, they're more likely to participate in programs. So that was an important component of what we were doing, is just building the brand, increasing familiarity with EBCE. We always had opting up to Renewable 100 as a possible call to action, but in the early days, we didn't want to confuse customers by messaging about EBCE costing more. So we were a little cautious on that front. And then in 2020, we started launching programs with calls to action like Resilient Home, followed by additional programs that we've launched this year. And there are quite a few in the hopper that we'll discuss. So over the years, our marketing communications efforts have gone from exclusively brand building to focus on customer program marketing where the customer has to take action. And next slide. So in order to communicate effectively, we need to meet the customers where they are. And this is especially important when doing program marketing because not all customers are eligible for every program and not all customers receive information the same way. So this is a list of some customer segmentation we've used for various programs. So for example, Resilient Home, which is the program that offers solar, home rooftop solar plus battery energy storage. That's only available to homeowners because it involves installing, pretty expensive hardware, getting city permits and interconnection approval from PG&E. So you have to be a homeowner to participate. Whereas the arrearage management plan that Annie was talking about earlier for customers with utility debt, it's only available for customers on income qualifying programs like CARE and FARA. And a new program we're launching that'll provide medical baseline customers with a home battery. We're really targeting that at customers who meet three main criteria: that they're on a low income program like CARE or FARA, that they're on the medical baseline program, and that they live in zip codes that are more prone to public safety power shutoffs. We also have a element of the Resilient Home program that's for multifamily, and I have a slide on the marketing of that program. So next slide. So when we plan a marketing campaign, we begin by reviewing a list of possible outreach and education tactics, and the primary tactics are listed here. So kind of starting at the top, we do receive customer address, like service address and billing address information from PG&E along with an email address. So we have the means of communicating all customers, which is, a great tool to have in our arsenal. Email is very attractive because it's easy to target customers. We know a lot about the customers and can target them individually with an email or direct mail. And also with email, there's no real direct cost. We can send one or we can send 10,000, and it's not much different in effort. But of course, not all customers use email. Not all customers provide an email to PG&E. We have maybe 75% of our customer emails on file, and not all of those work. We get quite a few bounces. Also, even when we do send the email, the open rate might be 30%, 25, 40% open rates. So we can see even when we send email, not everyone's looking at it. Same goes for direct mail. A lot of people just recycle it. So even though those are very good tactics, we really need to rely on a portfolio of messaging tactics programs. We found through customer survey research that a majority of our customers rely on social media for some of their news and information. So that's a good channel. We used to do a lot of out of home advertising, billboards and such, and events, as Annie mentioned. Due to COVID, we really had to scale back on the events, and the out of home became less attractive. Like doing a movie theater ad, it's just not fitting with the times right now. And then finally, as Annie noted also, we know that our member cities and community-based organization partners are trusted messengers of news and info. So we regularly, every month, ask them to disseminate EBCE program information. So as Annie mentioned, we have 3 primary email dissemination lists for CBOs, for cities, and for chambers of commerce. And every month we're providing content to them that they can share. So yeah, if you have CBOs, as Director Harrison mentioned, we're happy to add folks to our distribution list. And next slide. So here's another way to look at our programs as they overlay with residential and commercial customer segments. As you can see in the leftmost column there, EBCE programs offer 3 primary value propositions: saving money and energy, increasing resilience, and helping with the environment. And those mimic the 3 pillars of our brand, which are low rates, green power, and local benefits. So we want to make sure that these opportunities are clear in our marketing materials for each program. And the next slide. So I'll do a few case studies here to show examples of how EBCE goes about program marketing. Resilient Home, featured on this slide, is EBCE's program that it offers a $1,250 incentive currently for the installation of a new home solar and battery storage system. And the target market for the program is both residential homeowners and multifamily dwellings. Originally, there was a low-income segment, but unfortunately the state funds dried up, and so that went away. So it's just been a sort of general residential homeowner target. We've used a few different marketing approaches, including these are sample digital display ads that you can see that we used. One is the no power, no problem. Another one is power through life's disruptions. And generally we used messaging that conveyed a problem solver approach to the value proposition provided, the value that the system provides. Generally, in marketing, you find that problem solver, sort of presenting the problem, presenting the solution is a good way to get customers to take action. So it was a good fit for Resilient Home because Resilient Home may not save customers money. It really varies from home to home. So we can't put a money-saving message as the headline because I think that would be misleading. So instead, we use this problem solver appeal. And we've used a portfolio of tactics that you can see there. We've sent over 100,000 emails. We sent out 80,000 pieces of direct mail. We worked with Sunrun to do some in-store in hardware stores, where they have the person there. We had some signage that had the EBCE logo on it. We've done hundreds of thousands of social media impressions and almost a million digital ads, like the kind of ads you see when you're browsing the internet. We've done those in multiple languages. And I know JP is on, and if you have questions about the performance, how we're doing in terms of customers completing our, driving traffic to our website, customers enroll to get a free estimate, basically. We want them to fill out a form, that's the call to action. And then ultimately, it's a pretty long sales cycle, but ultimately they get through and have the system installed. Yeah, so maybe we can move to the next slide, unless people have questions. So this is about the AMP program, which we discussed, which is a debt forgiveness program. And There's specific eligibility criteria for AMP that you can see there. They have to be on CARE or FARA. They have to owe at least 500 to PG&E. They need to be 90 days past due, and they have to be a customer for 6 months. So we know who these customers are, and they're about 12,000 eligible customers. So it's much different than Resilient Home, where it's, the more the merrier. We're trying to get customers in, and they could be, just about any homeowner. Whereas with this program, it's a very well-defined market. So as you probably know, there's a moratorium on disconnections right now. The moratorium's being lifted at the end of this month. And we really want customers to get into this program to avoid disconnection. This will forgive their debt, and it's a great program. The challenge for us is that we cannot enroll customers in this program. For a customer to enroll, they have to call PG&E. That's the only way they can get into the program. They can't enroll online. They can't call us. They have to call PG&E. So we're pushing this message about enrollment through multiple channels. Since we know who the customers are, it's nice and easy for us to do email and direct mail. We can reach out directly to those customers and say, hey, you're eligible for this program, and here's how you enroll. But as I mentioned before, those tactics do have, sort of modest open rates. And so even though it's a very highly targeted program, we're doing some general marketing in hopes of reaching customers in other ways, or maybe connecting with friends and family, or, folks who could say, hey, I know someone who would be good for this program, and I'll share the info for them. So we've been sharing info with cities, with CBOs, and we're also looking at what PG&E is doing and basically trying to supplement PG&E's marketing plan. We got a peek at that. And so those real grassroots tactics are the things that are harder for PG&E to do, so we can provide complementary activities there. And the next slide. So this is a video that was produced as part of a video series on induction cooking that EBCE's programs team is leading. And it shows local high-profile chefs cooking their signature dishes on energy-efficient electric induction cooktops, which is really cool. I highly recommend watching these. Annie, I don't know if, or Adrian, I don't know if that link is live and we can take a peek. I tried to embed the video in there itself. No? Okay, all right. Well, you can find it on our website or on our YouTube channel. But these videos, there are a few of them now. And we had them as a paid feature on sunset.com and on berkeleyside.com. So we paid to get that content promoted on their site. And yeah, they're great because it's very engaging content. And you can see like this one, which is the chef from Reams restaurant. You can see her, sort of learning how to use this new technology. And it really works for the dish she's cooking. She's really praising the tech. And I think it brings down the barrier for adopting that new technology, which is really nice. And the next slide. Oh, I think we're going back to Annie for this one.
Okay,
Yeah, I
does
think
anybody
we've
have any questions about this part?
Can I add a point?
Okay, go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, Dan had mentioned on Resilient Home that we do a lot of outreach to single family homeowners for that program. There's been about 2,000 leads that have come through our web form of EBCE interested customers or EBCE customers interested in the program. We've had about 400 sales, just under 400 sales now. And that's for single family homeowners. We also have a multifamily affordable housing push through Resilient Home. And we're approaching now about 8 multifamily affordable housing operators that are enrolling their units in this program. That's about 1,200 residents, residential accounts, so many more people when we think about the actual impact. So I just wanted to mention that we both have a single family push as well as a multifamily affordable housing push for resilient home, and that has a different outreach strategy through the multifamily housing operators, and we've been collaborating with some of your city staff as well to do that outreach.
I
Okay,
had a really brief
Director-
question, and that
Okay.
is, for single family homes, are these only leased systems or can they be purchased?
Both leased
Oh,
and
great.
purchased are both eligible. Yeah, we've pushed Sunrun in a couple of directions hard. And one of the first pushes was to enable customer-owned systems to be eligible for this program. It wasn't at the very start, but soon after launch, customer-owned systems were eligible. We've also been really pushing them for retrofit batteries on homes that already have solar. That's taken a little bit longer than we'd like. We're doing our first outreach to existing customers of Sunrun who are eligible to put a battery on their existing system. So we're doing some outreach to somewhere around 50 of the leads that have come through our pipeline who are already Sunrun customers, and we'll be rolling that out to non-Sunrun customers in the coming months.
Great. That was going to be my next question. So people already have solar, but they own it. Can they eventually get a battery through this program? Great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, this is the last slide, and it's just I think reiterating some of the things already mentioned, that there are additional upcoming program offers. Our new hire, Lori Dines, who starts on Monday, will be taking over, creating these marketing plans and helping to drive leads and sales into the programs. And we are also setting up some new technology. So Pardot is a service of Salesforce, and this is just going to really help us refine our email campaigns. This is, I think a standard tool that is used in marketing, and we're looking forward to having that set up so that we can really customize and increase our customer engagement. And I think that is the last slide, correct, Adrian?
Yes, it is.
Okay, any other comments? Director Harrison, you still have, okay, you took your, okay, so let me look at the agenda. So that was the last item. Do we have any announcements?
Before we move on, we've got
go
public
ahead.
comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so I have Blair Beekman has his hand raised. If there be any other speakers, if you please use the hand raise feature, I can recognize you for 3 minutes. Otherwise, Blair, you're recognized.
All right, thank you. This was an interesting item that actually, interestingly, goes into the work that I think San Jose is doing. I don't know if I quite said that right earlier, that I lack how to better do this, and I'm really sorry. How to better talk about it and think about it and work on these issues. But I think San Jose, they're either addressing how the future PG&E can lower their renewable rates. They can either lower their community energy packages, or they maybe can lower their community renewable rates within their community energy packages. I'm not sure which is which, but it's something to really check out, and it is their good work and efforts. And just to remind what I said on the previous item, instead of the word slow, that we're trying to slowly end the future of nuclear, we're trying to steadily end the future of nuclear is maybe a better way to say it. So, whatever year we may be facing an upcoming earthquake, whether it's 2023 or 2025, or 2027, there may be a year or two that, we'll be needing backup generator use and possibly the use of nuclear, but that is only for a year or two. And it's after that time, we need to develop new concepts of what the term steadiness means. And we have to steadily be building our future of renewables. And it's if we turn the fossil fuel industry and the nuclear industry into just small boutiques, specialized systems instead of the major drivers of an economy, that's the kind of questions and shift we're hopefully addressing at this time. And how can renewables become more of an important major player and function of how we think of our decision making? We rely a lot on nuclear energy for not just its energy, but its economics. And we really have to be at the time to start to address that. And I hope we can, even with these upcoming natural disaster issues in the Bay Area that may be coming up. That is possibly what's going to make the Bay Area innovative and interesting. And it's that real concentration on renewables that it's key in how we return to our better practices after the time of natural disaster, and why the procurement process for renewables is a major purpose for East Bay Community Energy at this time. So I can't say it enough, but it's that steady drive and hope of what renewables can do at this time, and idealism, to use that word, that I hope we can be considering, and that fossil fuels and nuclear are just specialized systems. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments?
We have one more comment from
Okay.
Jennifer West. Jennifer West, I'm recognizing you for 3 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be brief. I just wanted to say that I work at Stop Waste and I work directly with the folks at EBCE. I have also personally been able to participate in the Resilient Home program, and that program really tipped the scales for me in terms of adding a battery to a solar system that my family and I had planned for many years, but it took us until this past year to put in place. And, as a professional working in building energy efficiency and also in building electrification, learning about directly, and personally about the battery systems, the time of use, having an app to look at this, share with my colleagues, et cetera, has been really terrific. So I just wanted to be grateful to EBCE for that program, and for, it was nice, JP, to hear how many folks have participated, but I hope you end up finding more folks in single family homes, and also just applauding the multifamily numbers that you have for folks participating. Thanks so much. And I always enjoy these legislative and regulatory and marketing subcommittee updates. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Just on a side note, I actually am part of the Resilient Homes program too. So I love it. I love the battery pack. I have my office in the back. I can see the solar panels right here on my roof. So yeah, great program. Do we have any other comments? Okay. Oh,
There are no further comments.
okay.
I have a request.
Okay. Yes, JP.
If you want to be a case study for us, we'd love to talk with you about your solar system.
Okay, we'll talk about that offline then. I'm telling all my friends about it, so we may get more business here, because I love it. I have the app right here on my phone, and it's cool. So yeah, well, let's talk about that.
Perfect.
Next item: committee members and staff announcements. Do we have any? Okay. Before
I'm going to jump in for just a second and just
go ahead. Good.
Hi. Yeah. So Trish Monroe, I'm going to be taking over from Brittany Kick, who took over from me. Life changes all the way around. So glad to be back, and just wanted to say hi. I'm late to this because I had a conflict. I'm driving, as you can probably hear. So hopefully you can hear me okay. I was at Las Casitas, where they are opening up, it was groundbreaking for some new buildings. And I don't know how much connection EBCE has with Las Casitas, but this was basically public safety, infrastructure, all the stuff that we do on EBCE. And so in as much as this might be a good opportunity to connect. I'll just mention that's in as much as we're doing it, let's do more.
Yes. Okay. Oh, great. Thank you.
We,
JP, you do have another comment?
yeah. I just wanted to mention, thank you, Councilmember Monroe. We actually provided a grant, one of our workforce development grants to Las Positas College. They have got some workforce development training programs. So last year we gave 3 grants out, one to Cypress Mandela, one to Rising Sun, and one to Las Positas. And so we've also been talking with them about other opportunities to collaborate. So appreciate your push in that direction.
Thanks. I'm not surprised. I didn't have it top of mind, but I appreciate your clarifying. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. I was speaking with Adrian earlier, and we decided since we missed last month's meeting, we're going to still keep the October meeting, the one that's already been planned for. So it's just so we don't fall behind and we stay up on everything. And before we go, I'd just like to wish Dan the best in his new endeavors. When is your last day, Dan?
Sorry, this is Danny Kelly, who's left. Not Dan.
Oh, I thought it was you.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
not
so-
get rid of me.
Oh, I thought, oh, geez, you probably thought, what does he know that I don't? I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was
I wrote
Danny
it down.
Kelly.
I just wrote Dan. I didn't write the last name.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell him I said bye. Best of luck.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll see you all next month. And this meeting is adjourned.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.